Extreme prediction. Now this is interesting. This is two student teachers, Julie on the left and Sally on the right, and they prepared lesson plans. And Julie's was excellent, was prepared in an excellent manner, and Sally's was poorly prepared. Kahneman and Tversky, two Nobel laureates, asked people, how likely is Julie to be successful as a teacher, and how likely is Sally to be successful as a teacher? And what do you think the people said? They said, Julie will be very successful, and Sally won't be successful at all. Now, there's a very extreme prediction based on a tiny bit of information. What good science tells us is that with a tiny bit of information, if you're asked to make a prediction, predict the average. Don't make an extreme prediction without extreme information, without compelling reasons to do so. Let me show you what it sounds like on Wall Street. This book came out in 1998, The Roaring 2000s by Harry Dent. He makes predictions about what's going to happen in the future. In 1998, he writes, a Dow that continues to soar and will eventually reach 21,500 and possibly 35,000 by year 2008. Extreme predictions on Wall Street. This is one of my favorite thinking errors. It's called the gambler's fallacy. I play cards with a fella. He's played cards his whole life. He was talking about a hand that was played. And he says, well, the way the hand was played, it looked like he had aces, but he couldn't possibly have had a pair of aces because he'd already had aces 3 times that night. Now, the odds of getting aces are 1 out of 218, whether you've had them 3 times or if you hadn't had a month of Sundays. The cards don't get together and think, okay, we've already given aces to Sally 3 times tonight, we haven't given them to Dave at all, so we got to sort of even it out. Cards don't think that way. Cards don't think at all. Now, let me tell you, this gambler's fallacy, it happens on Wall Street too. You know what it sounds like on Wall Street? It sounds kind of like this. Well, it can't go any lower. And on Main Street, it sounds a little bit like, well, things have got to get a whole lot worse before they get better. That's the gambler's fallacy. Now, the thinking errors that I've talked about, this is not just based on my experience. This is just not what I think. There's a tremendous amount of academic research that supports that people systematically make these types of mistakes. The man you see there is Paul Meehl. He is a giant in the field of decision making. And he wrote this book in 1954, which basically changed the way people think in the field of psychology about decision making. And he essentially said was, experts, which a lot of people in the room are experts, you're experts about your business, would make much better decisions if they were to use their expertise to create rules for the purpose of making decisions as opposed to making new decisions each time. That book has now been validated by over 200 studies. I'm going to give you a couple of quick examples. Blank, The Power of Thinking Without Thinking. That Malcolm Gladwell, New York Times bestseller. He talks about Cook County Hospital, where they took a rule-based decision aid to make triage decisions. It was based just on 4 factors, and compared that to the decision-making of the cardiologist that had much more information. They studied it for 2 years, and after 2 years, what they found was that this decision aid with just 4 variables made better decisions than the expert cardiologists and emergency room doctors. Ashley Ohrenfelter, a Princeton PhD, who's edited the American Economic Journal, likes to drink fancy French wine. And he developed a mathematical model based on just 2 factors, rainfall and temperature, that replaced all the swish and spit wine experts in the world. So, in conclusion, my naked advice to you is this. First of all, beware about these thinking errors. they are well documented in the academic research. You know, we like to think that we all make perfect decisions every time, but there are a lot of things that affect our decision making, and these thinking errors cause us to make suboptimal decisions. We talked about availability, recency, the gambler's fallacy, and making extreme predictions. Next, base your decisions on data. If you don't have the data, then you can use the matrix to structure your intuition and create your own data. And if you do this, I think and execute this, you'll get better returns for your stores.